Hello everyone and welcome back. Really quickly, I want to say thank you all so much for the amount of support I got on my last video. If you haven't seen it already, I'll put it on the screen right now if you want to go check it out. I am truly dumbfounded that it did so well and I can't thank you guys enough. I also want to mention how awesome it is to see everyone talking in the comments and sharing opinions. It's always interesting to see what you guys think. With that said, I won't waste any more of your time. As you can tell by the title, this video is about high elo replays and how they might affect League players. More specifically, I'm talking about channels that upload replays of high elo games with no commentary or editing. Now I want to make it very clear that this is in no way saying that these channels make bad content. This is strictly looking at it from a learning perspective, so please don't think that it's bad to watch their content or go out of your way to boycott it. On another note, in no way is this meant to make fun of or bash people for their rank or their performance. All of this is speculation and is subject to everyone's own opinion. Okay. I want to keep this pretty simple and not digress too much, so I'm going to break this up into 3 parts. Part 1, I'll talk about replays and what I think of them. Part 2 will be about learning curves. And finally, in the third part, I'll bring everything together in a conclusion, as well as talk about some things that might actually help players improve. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so starting off with the big question. Does watching high elo players make you a better player? To put it simply, no. The same way that watching Liver King won't make you jacked. Sure, there's a big emphasis on protein intake and intense training, but I think he left out an important detail. Obviously, this is way different from getting better at video games, but what I'm saying is that if you're trying to go from bronze to challenger by only watching challenger players, then you're going to try to mimic them without learning how they actually got there. As a wise Wings of Death once said, there is no secret to being good at League of Legends, you just have to play the game. Obviously, there's no better teacher than personal experience, and a lot of that experience is making mistakes. Watching a flawless player play flawlessly just shows you what peak performance looks like without actually showing you how to get to that point. There's an abundance of high elo replays, and while they may be interesting to watch, I don't think they're good to learn from. There's no explanation as to what the players are doing or why, whether it's roaming, solo killing, or building items. It's these details that players need to understand in order to improve, and without any commentary or explanation, it's hard to learn anything. In the final section of the video, I'll bring up some things that do actually help players improve, but before that, let's talk about learning curves. Okay, so bear with me on this part. Things are going to get a little abstract. As you can see, I've very crudely drawn a graph that depicts what I think the learning curve for League players looks like. Obviously, everyone's experience with the game can be extremely different, and not everyone learns these skills in this order, so for the sake of example, let's say this is about someone who's never played a MOBA before, i.e. me when I started playing. As you can see down here at the start, we have the moments before disaster where you're just now installing the game and know nothing. Right after that is followed by a steep incline where the player has just played their first few games and now understands the controls, the map, leveling up, etc. All the good things players learn when they start out, followed by a short plateau where the game is actually fun. Immediately after that is another incline where the player has to learn about different champions and items, what they all do, and how to build them. After that is another plateau of fun before the next learning curve, which I very inaccurately drew. It's supposed to be much steeper, but you get the point. Here the player now has to learn about the fundamentals, such as last-hitting minions, map awareness, roaming, mechanical skills, and the list goes on. Once the player has learned all of these things, there's one last big hill to climb before reaching the maturity of a good player. This last curve is continuing to play the game and practice these skills, which usually takes the longest depending on the player's goals. Most low elo players will plateau at the very beginning of this curve and may never improve, while others climb a little higher before settling into their rank. Anything can happen beyond this point, whether players gradually climb up the ranks and improve, or even end up moving down a few divisions, but it's usually at this point that most people will start looking outwards for help. That's where replays come in. You see, when somebody starts watching challenger replays to get out of bronze, they're basically trying to bypass this entire curve, and the expected result looks something like this. Obviously, this is being dramatic, and I'm just using bronze as an example, but this same exact logic could be applied to any rank. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's bring it all together. You can't get better just by watching high elo replays. Not to say that you shouldn't watch them, but they won't necessarily help you improve. Most of the learning curves in League are ones that you actually have to experience for yourself, and replays bypass most of that information. While they can be interesting, if not entertaining to watch, they won't be the key to your success. Instead, what you should look for are skilled players that main the role or champion you want to be good at, and actually give commentary over their gameplay. Technically, anyone in a rank higher than yours is someone you can learn from, but usually you want to look for diamond and up. Here are some people that I would personally recommend, and unfortunately I don't have one for every role, but these guys are a great place to start.
200 ping maneuver.
Azzapp is a Vel'Koz main, Azzapp, whatever, that has reached challenger in multiple regions and gives insightful tips and commentary on what he's doing and why he's doing it. He's not just a skilled player with a deep understanding of the game, but also an entertaining streamer with no shortage of content to watch.
Unofficial pentakill, guys.
Omega lol.
Broxah is a jungle main that has hit Challenger and is currently in Masters. He's a retired pro player that streams consistently and has a ton of experience with almost every champion in the jungle. Boasting good looks and insightful commentary, there's no good reason not to watch his content, even if you're not a jungle main.
This goddamn item, I'm never buying Magi again.
Many of our old champions hold up really, really well in Modern League.
Now this last one is a bit of a curveball. Riot August is not just a lead designer for League of Legends, but a diamond player as well. On his stream he plays ranked games and discusses champion design, champion balancing, the state of the game, and even more. While he may not be in the highest ranks, he gives great information on what kind of efforts go into making the game and why. Behind the scenes knowledge is something that players don't always have access to, and Riot August is a great outlet for it.
Thought so. I knew it!
Aside from watching other people play the game, you should always be reading patch notes and keeping up with dev vlogs. This is information that every single player has access to, and it's these changes that ultimately influence the direction of the meta. Knowing what's getting buffed, nerfed, or changed every 2 weeks is absolutely crucial to making good decisions in your games, whether it's picking a meta champion or building the right item first. Lastly, I want to give my personal advice to anyone looking to be a better player. You have the potential to be your own best coach, meaning that you should practice your critical thinking skills and ask yourself hard questions. Knowing when you've made a mistake is one thing, but figuring out how to avoid it in the future is another. It's this kind of self-criticism that separates the great players from the good ones. Whether you're watching your own replays and looking for places to improve, or using external apps and sites that give you information on your performance, your skill as a player is in your own hands, and it's up to you to decide how far you want to take it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you learned something or found this helpful, feel free to drop a like and a subscribe. If you agree, disagree, or think I left anything out, put it in the comments. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.